part 3 of our interview with the legendary George Lois. Now back to our host, Kevin Kelly, on the BuzzBubble.
You know, when I talked about it, I lost 2 big accounts because 2 really big accounts. One when Jack Kennedy was assassinated, and I calling up the client saying we're going to pull TV commercials because we didn't know that later on in the day the network stopped them. But
right.
So I got everybody calling everybody, all our clients, and the account guy called me up, came to me and said, National Airlines, the guys down in Florida, you know, I did a campaign. Is this any way to run an airline? You bet it is. A great success, you know. And he said, no, they won't pull a commercial. So I get on the phone. I say, well, I say, hey Dan, hey Dan, you don't understand. The president's been shot. He said, shit, I know that. We're having a party down here.
Wow.
And I said, well, we're pulling the commercials, and you can go fuck yourself. That was the end of that account. Right?
Is that the name of your next book? Go fuck yourself. It was
a $4 million account back then.
Jeez.
And then I was
That's very Draper. Or
when I was
Draper,
well, I mean, and then when
George.
we had when I worked, I was trying to get Reuben Clark out of jail in 1975. Mm-hmm. And I'm doing a thing, and I'm raising hell. I got Muhammad Ali and Bob Dylan. I'm raising all kinds of shit, and we get him out, waiting for a new trial, whatever was going on. And a client calls me in and said, a new guy came in for Cuddy Stark, a new president. Mm-hmm. The guy before that was great, and he calls me in, and it's all over the press. It's all the newspapers about what I was doing, and he calls me in. I walk in the door and he says, Lois, stop working for the N-word or you're fired. And I said, well, I'm going to keep working for him because he said, I just, yes or no, stop working for him or you're fired. I said, I guess I'm fired, so go fuck yourself. I go back to the agency and it was a $6 million account. I mean, these were big accounts back then. That was a ton of money. I go back to the agency and I get everybody in the agency, 30, 40 people, 50, whatever, and I get them all together. I said, told him what happened, and told him that was that. And nobody's getting fired. I'm just letting you know, we'll get back to business. Blah, 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 blah. Well, you know, 60 people got up with a 15-minute standing ovation. So proud.
I was proud of you when I read this first one.
That you didn't
boot camp.
That you didn't bow down. That you didn't bow down to racism, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And that's what I teach in the book. I also teach these strong the morality of what we do, you know, right. And talking truth to power, and talking truth to power, you know, talking truth to the sons of bitches, to the Republican sons of bitches, neoconservatives.
Yeah, that's a whole other show. We'll follow up on. That's I think they're number 3 and 4. No, they're number 4 on your list. Of
yeah, I know.
The not so smart but industrious.
Yeah, right.
You talk about trends a little bit, and I don't remember what number it is, but trends and. You know, trends it's a big controversy in advertising. Some agencies are looking for the trends and want to jump in. The agencies I like are more culture jamming and, you know, don't follow the trends. They lead the trends. My headline is trends are traps, you know.
Right. And I think I wrote in it every year. It was from 1960, from when I had my own agency, from 1960 to the year 2000, Time and Newsweek and magazines like that and Forbes, and they would call you up and they would say, what are the trends going to be next year? And I would always say, I don't know, I'll let you know when I do it.
I like that. That's a great answer.
I mean, the last thing you do, if there's a trend, if they're going that way, you go that way. You know, no, not that way, that way.
Right, 180 degrees.
Yeah, 180. I mean, what are you talking about, trends? You know.
You said never listen to music while doing good work, and I never thought about it. Once you explained it, I got it.
I don't even listen to music in my apartment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Might get in the way of an
No,
idea.
when I walk, my wife loves to listen to jazz during the day. When I walk out the door, she turns it on. No, I mean I don't like it. All day long, shit's happening.
Right.
You know, I mean,
You'll make time.
I could be watching a ball game, you know,
and
yeah, and somehow I can handle it with the ball game, but I can't with music, because you know, you're not unless it's down to a critical part.
Sure.
Of a ball game.
Your attention,
and it's the last inning and a 2 minute. You know, no, I mean, I think I need. If you love music, and you're listening to music you love, that's the wrong thing to be doing when you try to get an idea, because you're really involved with the music, or else you're not a music lover. So I mean, I said simple thing, but it's amazing how many people, kids, when I was lecturing, were saying, "Really, we listen to it all the time." I said, "Yeah."
Yeah.
They got the things on, and on a computer. They don't have an idea yet. They're on a computer. They have to they have to solve a certain problem. They have to come up with an idea for something or other. They're on a computer and they're listening to music, and they don't have an idea.
Yeah.
I mean, it's wacky, you know.
And it's disrespectful to the music. If you really like the music, don't do anything else and listen to the music.
It's just disrespectful to the music.
Now, I noticed your graphic was a Bruce Springsteen CD on that page.
Yeah, right.
Are you a fan?
Oh, sure, yeah.
Did you see Bruce's keynote in South by Southwest? You would enjoy it. He talks about, he's speaking to all, at South by Southwest, it's all the aspiring musicians who want to be the successful as him. He's talking about the idea of holding two contradictory things in your hand. He goes down this list. He says, don't take yourself too seriously.
Don't worry. Worry your ass off. Have ironclad confidence, but doubt. It keeps you awake and alert. Believe you are the baddest ass in town. And you suck.
Take yourself more seriously than death. You know, and he goes on with these.
No, that's great. He's a good man.
The idea of,
he's a good man.
Creatively, the idea
Springsteen's a good man.
Paradox is.
He's done important songs.
Yeah.
He's for the working man. I mean, it's no bullshit about it. You know, I mean, it's not Santorum. It's for the working man. You know what I mean? Like I'm a girl. You know. No, I mean he's the real deal, Springsteen.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of.
He talked about that.
There are a lot of those, Robert Redford, the real deal. You know, Paul Newman was.
Yeah, sure.
Clooney.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
That Ruffalo kid. Mm-hmm. You know. There's some good people out there.
There are.
I mean, usually you think of these actors as being
airheads and
being kind of dumb.
But you know what?
These guys are great.
They're active now. It's not a secret if they have a position on something, or George Clooney's out there. You know, he's no secret about where his position is.
You look back at the great movie stars like Robert Taylor and Gary Cooper and John Wayne. They're all right-wing sons of bitches.
Yeah.
They were right.
It's a different day. Yeah.
They were bad guys, you know.
What do you think about that idea of, he says, if you can't manage to have two contradictory ideas in your head, you're dead. You've got to be able to figure that out. You got to be able to live with it and move on. And creatively, I think that's important. You get contradiction all the time.
Yeah. Well, that's analysis paralysis. Right. I mean, that's when you start saying, okay, there's this, but there also could be this, and then says, you're dead.
Right.
No, you're dead in the water.
Right.
I mean, I put that down next to group grope. You know, I say the worst thing in the world is when people, everybody, and then I make another point when I talk about, I show Amish putting up a barn. You know, I said, hey, teamwork works with putting up an Amish barn, but it doesn't work with creativity. You know, I mean, great thinking, great ideas come from one person, two people together, maybe three. But when you get to four, forget about it.
Yeah.
You know, and
it's a bold statement. A lot of people think,
are you kidding?
Well, American
business decided a long time ago.
Brainstorming. Let's all get in a room
and they have rules too about. I heard one of them where there's rules where nobody can criticize what somebody says. You got to respect what he says and let it exist, and keep going with the ideas without somebody saying that's a dumb motherfucking idea. You know, no, it's crazy. I mean, and there's
you're not against a couple people bouncing ideas.
Sure. But also with the grope, there's you know, if you have five or six, there's always a schmuck. You know, but what's worse is if you had 5 or 6 people and they're all very smart.
Ah, yes.
All of a sudden, you got 5, 6 brains with ideas. You're not going to get anywhere.
Yeah. Well, you had that at.
So I mean, I talk about that all the time. Grope, and the other part of that, the house of flowers. And once you get the idea, once you think of it, your instincts are right. You figure it all out. Right there, go squeeze the trigger.
Yeah. I, on that same note, do you think there's a lot of, so-called great work out there that forgets to sell? You talk about that. Don't forget to sell.
Most shows. Most.
Right? They look. That's a great TV spot. It's going to win an award. Didn't sell any here.
Kevin, kids. I haven't heard it in the last year or two, but I used to hear it a lot. Kids would actually say. Sometimes I teach a class at School of Visual Arts. I do a favor for Steve Hell or something. I go into his class
Sure.
And somebody said, "Well, you don't understand."
You don't understand.
Yeah. You got to hear the rest. You don't understand. In these days. These days.
Like you ain't been working.
You can't let anybody know that you're selling them. Excuse me? You shouldn't be selling. It shouldn't be obvious that you're selling. I said, "Are you shitting me?" I mean, I
shouldn't talk down to your consumer
I got commercials.
They don't know that.
Like my original, I want my Maple commercial. I had these great ball plays. Mickey Mantle.
I want my Maple. 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 I want it.
6 times in that commercial, I asked for the sale. I want my motherfucking Maple. And you're telling me no? And you know what? The more you watch, people would see the commercial, and every time it came on, they'd run into the room to see it again, to watch what was the guy saying it. With the voiceover says, Maple, the oatmeal cereal that heroes cry for. I mean, 6 times you're telling me that. Young people, I think they still are embarrassed because they're selling. Jesus Christ! Everything I do has got to sell.
Go to a gallery and get out of advertising.
You think I can get away with? You think I can get away with any job I ever did in my life if it didn't work?
Right?
Are you kidding? I mean, that's
and it's saying you talk down to your consumer, meaning they don't know they're being sold. You really think they don't know?
Of course not.
They're watching TV. It's not the ball game. It's the commercial.
And one of the most important things in the book is when I say it's so obvious, but if you think people are dumb, and most ad agencies heads and most people think people are dumb.
Right. Everybody but me.
Then you got to do dumb work.
Right.
Then you can't do bright. Many times, my whole story about George, be careful. It's my anti-slogan.
Right.
When I was a kid, with a baby, I was in my crib, and the hand of God came in. Michelangelo's hand of God, and said, "George, be careful." And my whole family told me to be careful. My mother, my father, coaches, and in the army. I come out of advertising. I get home from Korea. I go into advertise. I go into CBS. And that's when everybody tells you to be careful.
Right.
Everybody tells you to be careful. And I'm saying that's the last thing you can be. Is careful. You got to be bold. You got to be, almost reckless.
That's it for part 3 with the legendary George Lois. Tune in next week for part 4.
The problem with tweeting is people spend their lives tweeting.
Yeah, go outside and do
They don't tweet like 20 minutes a day. They tweet all motherfucking day. Yeah, I mean, and talking,
Facebook, and,
you know, and with quick little thoughts that come out of their ass. You know, I mean, it's not thoughtful. You know, it's not. You can't. I mean, if it's thoughtful, send an email or make a phone call.
Next week on the BuzzBubble.